How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Legions Lounge. I'm your host, Matt, joined by CEO of Future Lore Studios and creator of Legions Realms at War, Taylor. How's it going tonight?
Pretty good, man. We're back, baby.
We
It's
are.
been
It
a
is.
while.
It
It's
has been
been a
way too
while.
long.
I think we were just checking. It's been 3 months.
It
Well, in
has.
those 3 months, a lot has happened. And when we focus on a lot happening in the community and when we focus on a lot of happening in the game, there's two things with that go hand in hand. And that is actually an individual that comes to mind when it comes to putting in the work outside of what I do in the studio. And that is Julian, the creator of the Legions Toolbox. He's back on the podcast, back for everyone to talk to. Julian, how's it going tonight?
I am doing great. Thank you guys for having me again. You're gonna make me blush. Um, it's great to be back here. We're legioned out, and we've had so much going on in the community lately. I'm very glad to be here and to be able to talk to you guys about it.
It has been a whirlwind to say the least. Just because we had a 3 month absence does not mean we've had a 3 month absence from the game. The studio has been hopping. There's a lot of stuff going on. Busy's a great thing to be doing. We've we've had a lot of cons, comic cons and conventions that we've been going to as a studio. Rye Guy McFly, Ryan, and our Discord server, and part of our testing team. He's going to be on the podcast coming up shortly to talk about his perspective of those cons. And we've had a lot of organized play going on. We brought back the Siege series season. So we've been rocking those, including a new Siege series location. We had in Kingston, Ontario. So Julian was in attendance for that, since that's his stomping grounds, and and then of course we brought it back to the store that started it all, and we had a Siege series in Nerds Cafe here in Woodstock, Ontario, where the game started. And so we had some of our great Kingston community members come down and play in that event as well. So it was kind of a bridging of two worlds, and it's part of the reason why we have Julian on tonight to talk about that, as well as some of the developments with the toolbox and such. So buckle up, guys. It's gonna be a little bit of a longer episode since it's our welcome back one. And what do we got on the docket tonight, Matt?
To be honest, we're just covering over what we've gone through. What catching everyone up to speed on what's been happening these past 3 months.
All right. Is there anything specific that we want to start with? Because there's a lot. There's a lot to
There
jump into here.
is.
So
I think as the creator of the toolbox, we should probably start with the toolbox updates.
yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to start. I think that's an excellent place to start. What do you think, Julian?
Absolutely. I think like since the last time I was in the podcast, a lot of the functionality that was announced was like almost immediately available after it aired. But it's been a while, and lots of functionality has been added. There's been a lot of like behind the scenes work in terms of making it more, it, basically making it perform better. A lot of people I notice that every time I show up at an event, uh, people are checking the toolbox on their cell phones, and it's been a priority to optimize the toolbox for mobile devices. We've also added some functionality, like the functionality to draw a hand from a deck, which is amazing, and it's actually kind of addictive. Um, I Right after I finished programming it, I spent like an hour and a half just drawing random hands and thinking what I would do with them. Um, so things are being added constantly. Since the last time we spoke, I think the major, like the biggest update that has occurred was the ability to download a deck in the proper format for a tournament. That's been huge, and we've seen people like it at the Kingston Siege series. We had an actual printer there on site to print people's decks, and we saw people at the Siege series in Woodstock to bringing their printed decks from the toolbox. So I think that was like one of the biggest features that we've added that people are actually using a lot. So yeah, lots of things have happened, and also like this is the correct time to give a shout out to the volunteers, because we have multiple volunteers on the toolbox now, and they have been working tirelessly to update all the card text. They've been uploading card art that we didn't have before, and as soon as cards are becoming available, even for like in a limited fashion, uh, players are uploading the art and making sure that the toolbox stays updated. So huge shout out to all the volunteers.
Well, I think that's a great capitalization there, Julian. You know, it continuously from day one, the Legions community upholds that exact word, the community, and I've made reference to it in past podcasts, and you know, in person and in many of our conversations late night, and it's more of a more than a community, it's more of a family, and we keep growing. We've been gaining members left, right, and center, and you hit the nail right on the head there with the concept of that everyone just does their part, whether it's small or big. You know, you put in the work and the time to do this, and you know, speaking of other functionalities, we'll be talking with Thomas at some point on the upcoming episodes as well, with the formation of the LROT snapshot website as well. That's integrated with the
Yes.
toolbox. So there's a lot of stuff that's been going on, and the community involvement has always been top notch in this game, and continues to improve always. Right, everyone's willing to lend a helping hand, whether it be deck building or lending cards or just gifting cards to people. But overall, just like Julian was saying, even the people that are volunteering their time to jump in and help where needed. And you know, it takes a village to raise a family, right? And that's what we're doing right now, and it shows. It's a really welcoming, inviting bunch that just continues to grow together.
Absolutely. I think it's important to highlight how beautiful the community is, how embracing it is, like how much participation there is from the community in all aspects. It's absolutely amazing. And also, I'm gonna leave this for later, but it wouldn't be an episode if I didn't drop a uh, a, a bomb on what's coming to the toolbox. So I will announce that at the end of the episode.
Awesome. It's always great to have little teasers when we can, and this because it was kind of an impromptu thing to bring Julian on for the first one. Welcome back. So the fact that he has a little tidbit for everybody makes you want to listen right to the end if you didn't already, right? So Julian, since you're the guest tonight, so we're gonna continue on, you know, with the moving on from, you know, what you're saying about the toolbox being accessible at the Siege Series events, a printer on site, being able to, for those of you that are not familiar with the Legion's toolbox or are just hearing about it as a new player coming on board, this is a great deck building card catalog, online tool, a very user friendly tool created by the man himself. He can probably explain it much better than me, but the amount of work that he's put into to give this to the community, and it's free to log in, it's free to sign up and participate, and it gives you access to our entire card database and the ability to build collections and the ability to um, build decks, and like he said, adding that functionality of exporting decks right to our official tournament deck list forms, and being able to print those off and bring in and submit to each one of your competitive play events, whether that be a Battle for Glory or a Siege series, and the upcoming next year, the RTR. So all of those things are readily available, and those were available at our Siege series in person, which was excellent. Thanks to Julian for setting up that kiosk, if you will. And with that, Julian, I wanted to ask you from your perspective on people utilizing the toolbox for the Siege series and overall your Siege series experience. Because I know you are, a relatively new player the first time we had you on the podcast, and I would say that you're starting to become one of those early season vets now, and you've been competing a lot in our weekly campaigns in Kingston, and now you just attended not one but two of our Siege series, um, and one of them being right close to you and one being a little further away, obviously. And what's your overall opinion about the competitive play, the environment, how the Siege series were ran, and your integration of the toolbox in which those events took place?
Well, I think if there's a grand theme to like answer all the questions that you just posed, it's learning. Um, I still consider, like you said, that I was a fairly new player when you had me on first, and I was. Um, and even like more than 6 months later, I still consider myself a new player because I continuously learn so much. And that brings me to my experiences with Siege series. First of all, the Siege series that we held here in Kingston. Big shout out to Booster House and Cody for actually organizing that. It was amazing. I've been in TCGs for like decades, but I had never actually played an official tournament ever. So the Siege series here in Kingston was my actual first tournament officially ever in a TCG. And it was so amazing. First of all, starting with the toolbox adoption, it was amazing. So many people. I dare say most people came over to the kiosk and printed their deck off of the toolbox, which to me is amazing. I mean, it's a tribute in itself. Um, but then going on to the actual tournament itself and the experience itself, it's hard to like put words to it because like you said, the community is almost like a family and it's so tight, and we are spread around, right? So actually being able to match faces to the voices that we hear and the messages that we get online all the time from this amazing community was absolutely amazing. It was like honestly, we were there for. I was at the Legion where we held the tournament for like at least 14 hours that day, and I know you were there for longer, but it flew by. It was so amazing to be able, and it's also it brings so much. Like again, the learning is what I take away the most because we have a limited community here in Kingston, and I know you have a limited community there in Woodstock as well. And when we get together and we get to mix around and we get to like I played against decks that I had never played against. Like I I played against cards that I had never seen. So it's such a rich experience on all aspects, not only on the social side of like being able to like commune, being able to like make friends and talk to people that you've met online, and now you're meeting them actually in person, and it makes the whole thing so much richer. But the actual gameplay and the organizing of the event was absolutely amazing. It was like honestly, it was such a frictionless experience that um, I wish it could happen more often. And I know it would take away from how special it is if it happened more often. But I mean, it was amazing to have people coming even from like the U.S. to play here in Kingston. Um, it was it, it was honestly an honor and such a fun, engaging experience. Uh, it was amazing, and I don't know if you want to ask anything before I get into like the away games like last weekend.
Yeah. I was gonna capitalize on one thing, a point you brought up there. Big shout out to Cody and Booster House for making sure that we had the room rental and the space provided and everything set up, and it made it really easy for us as Future Studios to come in and work our magic of turning an event space um, into an atmosphere that is conducive to this great tournament play and this great community environment. Cody has always been a great advocate for us and continues to be, and it was great to have him spearhead all of this and
Yeah.
welcome us all with open arms. And speaking of welcoming us all with open arms, like you mentioned there, Julian, that we had 3 players do over an 8-hour drive up from New Jersey, from our New Jersey store, Comic Fusion, and they drove over 8 hours up across the border here into Canada and to come to Kingston Siege Series and participate. And they they actually they loved it. I had a lot of conversations with them throughout the day, including one that they were super excited that the fact that we had the creator present, but also the one who wrote the Elrod competitive snapshot website and the creator of the Legions Toolbox all in the same room. Like you said, that putting a name and faces to the voices and the names you see online, um, but also they're that they're talking about how they've done a lot of competitive events, whether it be Magic or Flesh and Blood or Yu-Gi-Oh events, but how open arms it was with us, and how Legions is one of their best experiences when it comes to a competitive organized event. I think it also helped the fact that we're in a venue that allowed you to have some alcohol as well. So I think they were kind of surprised by that, and that it was available at an event as well. So I think that's really cool. Overall, having them come up and having our entire community kind of bridge the gap and all meet in one location. I know, unfortunately, Matt wasn't able to attend the Kingston Siege series, but I know he made up for it and joined in on the Woodstock Siege series.
Yes,
So
sir.
when we cycle over to the Woodstock Siege series, this is where we're talking about the home and away um, for Julian here. So give us your away experience, Julian. I know you made the 4-hour drive or 3.5-hour drive to Woodstock, and how is that from the moment you left your warm, comfy house to the moment you showed up at the game store that started it all?
Well, in that aspect, I have to give a big shout out to Tasha here from Kingston who drove me there, because I slept very comfortably the whole way. Uh, I woke up in Woodstock. Um, it was amazing. Like it was so like branching off of like how my first tournament ever was the one here in Kingston. Like like from my point of view, like when I sat there to play that tournament, I was nervous. It was my first time. uh it there was like the whole set of circumstances made it like very new to me. And um when we went to Woodstock, the moment I stepped in there, I felt like I was at home. Like, okay, I've done this before. I'm glad to see all these people. First of all, I was very very impressed. First of all, very glad to be at Nerds Cafe, which is like the flagship store for the game. Um, I was very impressed at how amazing the space is. Um, it's so comfortable and so professional. It's incredible. Um, and then again, like seeing all the people that had come to Kingston again, and getting to see the people that didn't get to make it the first time, and again being able to match these faces to the Discord servers and stuff like that. um it was really incredible. um it actually, I feel like the tournament uh in Woodstock went like even more smooth than as a whole experience than the one in Kingston, which is hard to say because the one in Kingston went like flawlessly. Um, it was just amazing. The the level, the first of all, the variety of people. There were people there like all ages, all genders, all backgrounds, all everything. Uh, it was just amazing seeing such a diverse crowd invested in the game at that level. Like I remember, like right before the pairings were announced, people were trading like it was like the New York Stock Exchange. Um, it was insane. People were like flinging cards all around, yelling and like trading. It was so passionate. It was so beautiful. Um, I look forward to more of that. Um, I think the community is at the core of the experience that is Legion's Realms at War. Um, and I look forward, like the more the audience and the community grows, the more I realize that these are like the right people. Uh, it's it's always a joy to engage in any kind of activity with these people. It's amazing. So we had, I think I would, if I had to choose, and this is like something that in sports it would be the opposite, but I would choose the experience of the away game more than the home game because it was so much fun. It was so amazing. And you guys were so welcoming that it was honestly, it was impossible. Like it couldn't have been better.
No, exactly. Just adding on
Okay.
to that, like I had a fantastic time. I got ninth, lost on breakers, but that's okay. It happens, you know. But I had such a fun time. It was great finally getting to meet all of you, and it was so fun just being able to like to get back to a game I haven't been able to play as much just because school life is busy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great actually. Yeah, like now that you mention it, you didn't get to come to the Kingston games, and so this was like, even though we've been on the podcast twice, this was the first time that I actually met you in person.
Exactly. It was really cool because like I couldn't make
Absolutely.
I couldn't make Kingston because I had work, and I had to work at like 5 a.m. the next day, and I had a closing shift the night before, so I was like, all right, it's like I don't think I really could have, but it's all right.
Yeah,
It happens, but you know what? It all worked out evenly.
absolutely.
Well, I think highlighting on top of that, you know, we very much emphasize the community, the organization, and like Julian said, the welcoming environment and the welcoming atmosphere. And as much as I don't want to boil it down to numbers and um, and business and stuff like that, but on that side of the coin, I have to say that personally and from a studio perspective, the business perspective, we had 30 people in attendance at Kingston, 23 players played from 5 different stores. Our top eight had 8 different warlords. There's 17 active warlords available in the game to be played. 15 of them out of the 17 saw play in Kingston. And like I said, 8 different warlords in the top eight. And it was great to see Angels came third, fourth, to see them get that high up in a competitive play event where they haven't really done that before. piloted by two excellent pilots. I think that is seeing the diversity of not just our playing community from everywhere, but also just the diversity in the cards being played, the decks being played, and it goes to show the state of the game and the health of the game moving forward, and what Empire's really brought to the table in terms of that diversity, and in terms of that widening of the lens when it comes to competitive play. And
Absolutely. I think you make an excellent point there. When we talk about diversity, we're not just talking about diversity in the community itself, but in the gameplay. Uh, there were all kinds of decks. There was no clear like bias towards one type of gameplay or the other, or one archetype or the other. People were just playing what they want to play, and they really showed that all archetypes are playable and fun to play, which is awesome. I played against at Siege Series in Woodstock. I played against decks that I had never played before, and it's so much fun because it like literally, and from my point of view and from my perspective, it broadens the limits of the game. It like I'm seeing stuff that I've never seen before. Um, which I mean, it is a byproduct of like always playing within the same community, and I'm sure it happens in Woodstock too. And that's why it's so important to hold these events, right? Where the crowd is mixed up, and it just again, what I take away from this the most is I've learned so much just from playing against these decks.
No, and I agree. It's hold on. There's just a small tech issue here. Taylor, I think your mic is muted, so just I think it just auto did that, but that's okay. Um,
but yeah, so you can hear me now?
yep.
All right, excellent. Yeah, so I was just gonna say is that it's just on that note of learning, on that path of learning. Um, I think Julian said he learned a bunch. Me personally, as a developer and witnessing it and running the event, I too learned a lot. I learned a lot from the community. I always listen to some critical feedback, things that are going to help us moving forward when it comes to running future events, when it comes to organizing, places for people to play, and when it comes down to when it comes down to the cards themselves, and like what's going to be available in the next product, and how to decipher what people are looking for, and what's in demand, and what would they like to see as changes or implements, or things like that, and seeing that growth and being able to get that feedback in person. I know a lot of creators don't get that opportunity to be that close to the community, and to be that involved in it. And it's I consider it a luxury. It really is, to have that kind of critical feedback right on the ground level, instead of just trying to hear it as a secondhand, or just look at the numbers, and actually be able to read the impressions of people, witness the gameplay, witness those crazy moments in the game where people are very excited, witnessing those moments of like of anticipation, but at the same time of those moments of that grind, and the stare, and the concentration and stuff, being able to see it all, and absorb it all. I think that's a great learning experience for myself, and for the company going forward. So being able to be a part of that, Siege Series season is always fun. It's always something that we look forward to, and we're trying to work on setting up a couple more in the new year as well, to keep growing that invite list even longer. I think we're up over 40 players invited now that have received their regional tournament invite to the Rally of the Realms tournament that's going to be held next year. So there's a lot more details for that to come, but it's all stuff that's continued progress and continued learning, both on our part as a company, but also, like Julian said, as the playing community.
And also it's important, like from our end of things, to highlight how, like you were saying, like how important it is for you to get that community feedback. um it's extremely rare for us as players to be able to communicate directly with the studio and the creator. So it also goes like both ways in our, like from our perspective, to be able to communicate directly with you, the creator, and the studio that makes the game, because it's like it goes both ways, and that feedback, that constant feedback between the studio and the players, is what makes a game great. And I think is where I would dare, saying that that's where most large games have you know lost their path, or veered off their audience. It's because they don't listen to their audience, they don't listen to the players. So I think we are, like, together we're building something different. And the key to that difference is the fact that there's such free, available, constant communication between the creators and the players, and that it enables possibilities that are completely out of the question for other games.
I agree with you on that, and that's it's a big step for us moving into what is now going to be our year 3. Believe it or not, we've been doing this a long enough time to say that um, that we're in this position where it's an excellent feeling to keep pushing forward and then having that community feedback on all levels, whether it be just when it comes to design or sets or competitive play. You know, everything has been taken in stride, and we continue to learn through that. Um, and it's about focusing and honing in on that exact interaction you're talking about, Julian. That that feedback, that growth, that building together, and that's what we've really been focusing on as a studio in the back half of this year. Um, you know, after Empire's successful release in July, and then we hit Gen Con in August, and then then we were getting ready for these Siege Series events, while at the same time squeezing in as many Comic Con events as we can. Speaking so much of the time of this recording, I'm going to be venturing off into a Comic Con tomorrow morning, so we'll be in Newmarket Comic Con by the time you guys hear this. The con will obviously be done, and if it proves any well from the previous con events, um, myself and Rye Guy, he's coming with me again this time around, and he puts in the work and does an excellent job on that front to welcome new players to the community, and really is has honed his pitch skill on pitching an excellent game to an excellent group of people, right? So we've been traveling around, and we've been doing the cons on top of planning the Siege Series events and hosting those. So we did Belleville and then Bowmanville, Ontario on a back to back, and then we did North York and Peterborough on Ontario on a back to back, and we're in Newmarket, and then then the following weekend we have Niagara Falls convention we're coming up to. And then we're following it up with Markham Convention before Christmas in Markham, Ontario. And then right after New Year's, we're back in Peterborough again at another Comic Con. And then we're also lining up a bunch of bigger events midway through the year next year. And then, of course, Gen Con we're returning to. We've already, before we even left Indianapolis in August, we had already booked for the second year return to Gen Con. So we are going to going back to stateside again to the biggest gaming show in North America. So it's about boots on the ground mentality. The amount of players and TCG enthusiasts out there I don't think people understand that they're less than 10% of them consume TCG content um, through YouTube or through podcasts like this or through social media, and about that same amount or slightly more, maybe 10-15% consume a game um, at a local game store. So there's a lot of players, a lot of potential players, and a lot of game enthusiasts, fantasy fantasy fans out there that either haven't heard of us or are just discovering us for the first time, and that's from that boots on the ground mentality of not just being at the game store and not just having an online presence, but also just being at these Comic Cons, being at these conventions, and having that in-person interaction that Julian was stressing about how it's so key and it's so imperative to building in person and having that creator, that studio relationship directly with the player and the audience. And that's what we're doing, this boots on the ground mentality when it comes to conventions as well. So it's in all aspects. We are pushing the game, we are hustling and doing the work to continue to improve and grow the player base, all while you have great community members like Julian that are out there and working their tails off to make sure that when we onboard these new players, they have access to some of the great tools to enhance their experience.
Absolutely. Again, it's about lowering the barrier for new players, right? Um, Even if like communication with the creators in the studio means mostly complaining about cards you don't like, um, which is what I do a lot. Um, but hey, having that opportunity alone is golden. So yeah, that's what separates this game from other games, in my opinion. And also, it's impossible. Like anyone who has gotten into this game and like shared even 2 words with Taylor knows how passionate this guy is about his game. Like, honestly, if like you could be a random person and you just happen to find Taylor's phone number on the internet and you call him and you go like, "Hey, I like your game. Let's talk about it." And you're in for like a 4-hour talk about lore that's not even out yet. And it's absolutely amazing. It's if you had access to this guy 24 hours a day, he could talk 24 hours a day about the game. And you just,
I wish that wasn't true, but it is.
I know, I know. And you know what? Like, if there's one thing that separates this game from others, it's that. It's the passion that you put into it. And it literally, it, it drips into every single aspect of the game. So it's hard to put down.
No, I think that I've said it before on some other things, and that you gotta love it because it doesn't always love you back, and that's the business side of it. But yeah, I definitely hear it from the players. I hear it from the community. The game store owners, anyone that we interact with at the cons. I hear their perspective and their opinions, and until we started doing this convention circuit, and not to mention the 15 to 17 of them we already have lined up for next year, which seems crazy to me, but it's become part of the life now. Um, that you know, I'm gonna share with you something. This is the 4 hour conversation that Julian was referring to. But it's something I want to share as our first podcast back, and I think it's something really important to note the the reach, the impact we're starting to have, and I really felt it. This is the first time in a long time that I've really felt that really deep connection that I didn't think I would find outside of um, hosting a really big event, or coming up with the best thing ever, right? Um, but so Ryan and I are at the Peterborough Comic Con, and we had just done North York the day before. We get out of our hotel, and then we grab our breakfast, and we go on down to the Comic Con, and we start moving everything in and setting everything up, which we got down to a science. It takes us 30 minutes to set up a double booth, and we get everything out and displayed and everything. And then the first hour, it's a little shaky. We don't see a lot of foot traffic. It was we get a chance to talk to some of the surrounding vendors and stuff, but then the second hour, man, people just filed in. We ended up getting up to like 1,200 people in a 4 hour time period, which is pretty incredible for a small town in here in Ontario, Canada. And just the amount of people that came by, and Ryan and I got to just talk for hours, and share not just my passion but his. He's grown to become one of our most passionate individuals in the community. And whether it's just in the baseline of just pitching a game to someone, but it's more than that. It's that interaction, and it's the here, check out the cards, and like grab some art, and what do you enjoy, or what are the things you like to talk about. And people are coming over, and they're talking about the things they love, and what they're wearing in their cosplay and stuff. And it's building this great rapport with the community. But a certain individual, a family, they came by our booth, and there was this young girl, probably 12 or 13 years old, and she's dressed in her cosplay, and she appears like she's having a great time. And she walks up, and she points out one of our sets on the table. And those who are familiar listening to this podcast are obviously familiar with Bountiful Harvest, one of our supplemental products. And she points at the box, and she says, "You guys make Bountiful Harvest." And at first, as I'm not gonna lie, at first I've never seen this young girl, or met her family before, and she's there with her brother and her mother, her mom, and her dad. And um, at first I was like, okay, maybe she saw it online, or maybe she's mistaking us for somebody else, um, you know. And but then she points at our character. And for those of you obviously that know, Bountiful Harvest has our character Viviana on it, and she points at the character and she says, "That's Viviana." And at that point, I stopped and I looked at Ryan, and we both looked at each other, and that was like a revelation moment for me, because I've never met this young girl, never seen her family before, and not only does she know the name of our product, but she knows the name of our character. And so I had to ask, where'd you hear this from? Where what how'd you find out about this? And she said that she had attended the Kingston Comic Con. That was in there in Kingston, and she uh, she had a chance to talk to Cody at the Booster House booth at the Kingston Comic Con, and he gave her some cards, and she's been looking at him and really enjoys the art and the characters and such. And then she says to us that her and her brother, I believe he's like 15 or 16 years old, and she says her and her brother just recently started a Dungeons and Dragons group in a campaign, and they were having a hard time creating characters. And they found that they really were attached to some of our Legion's characters, so they started to use our characters in their Dungeons and Dragons, in their campaign. And their dungeon master was Mortis, and they picked out some characters that they wanted to play as, and they modeled their characters in their campaign around Legion's characters. And I thought that was an amazing moment. And I don't get a lot of those where I can just get. It knocks me back a little bit, and it's one of those moments where, like, Ryan looked at me and he said, "Man, your characters are transcending the game. Like, they're becoming something else now." And like, to me, I thought that was an amazing moment, and that's gonna stick with me forever.
That's
Um,
amazing. And honestly, I think that happens more than you think. It's just like you only hear about it like rarely. Because people don't usually approach you and tell you about that. But I mean, the characters affect like I mean, I know a bunch of people that play this game every week, and we're all influenced by these characters. And honestly, I gotta say I can't blame her because the character design on BH on Bountiful Harvest is amazing. Like everybody in there has an amazing. It's like you look at them and you can tell whether you relate to them or not. Um, it's. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm glad that maybe a small percentage of people come over to you and let you know about that. But you can't imagine how many other people don't approach you but are still affected by those characters that you've built and you've conceived. Um, it goes way further than you think.
It's hard to conceptualize and visualize, and it wasn't even on my radar until that moment. But like I said, it's going to be a moment that I'm going to remember the rest of my life because it's just something like I remember one of those big moments, like that very first moment that I held our base set Ravage Lands in my hand when it showed up in studio for the very first time, and I cracked the very first Legions pack. I recorded it, and I remember that moment as like a milestone in my life, a crowning achievement, if you will, and the fact that like I didn't know what the future of the game was going to hold. I didn't know if people were going to even like it. But what I did know is that something that I conceived, something I created, and took me years to do was physically and tangibly in my hands. And that was a moment that I will always remember. And this is right up there with one of those moments because as a creator and as a creative individual, it's something that you strive for to make a connection with people, right? And to use whatever you created as a vehicle to translate that passion and create that connection that is going to impact their lives in some way. You know, we all play hobbies to escape the real world or to have fun and spend time with our friends. And, you know, like you said, the amount of people that make connections that I don't even know about. Um, but that kind of connection, you know, when I have my background in television and film, you're taught in screenwriting to build a character that people can relate with, and you know whether it's a protagonist or an antagonist, but to build something that and create something that has experience and has emotion, and personifies a feeling that people can connect with because we're all emotional beings, right? And you know, without getting too deep and philosophical with it, it's just the fact that having that connection, whether it's just something you really like to look at, or an ability, or their storyline, or the character that you think the most personifies you, you know, having that connection um, with something that creative is pretty profound, and I think it relates to that connection of the creator and the studio connection with this ultimate um, excellent community, and it feels as though you said it the best, Julian. It feels as though it's so rich, and there's
Oh
so
yeah.
much substance there, um, and it feels more than a game sometimes, and it's like ultimately you come to these Siege series like or even on a Discord, like you for instance, Matt for instance, you two are people I would have never met otherwise.
Well, and I think about that all the time, man. It's crazy. Like I would have never met like pretty much most of the community if I didn't get like Hunter to convince me to go to Atlas. Like I think about that a lot. It's really weird to me.
I have not met a single person who has like looked at the image of Serena and not gone like, oh, who's that? Like, it's immediately attractive. And these are characters of your creation that just draw people to the game because people just want to know what she does because she's like so amazing. It's the extent of what you're creating and the extent that it goes to, like, it's completely out of your control, Taylor. Like, once you put it out there, it's out there, and people will take it to incredible extents, and that's amazing. It's amazing that it's happening, and it just speaks to how attractive the characters are.
I think it like, to capitalize on what you're saying there. I think it also speaks to how amazing our individuals are, and cycling it back to the people who are involved, right? Like, you know, we have people, yourself and Cody came out to the Belleville Comic Con to come and support us. So did Ben Trading Cards. If you're listening, Ben, you're awesome. Thanks for supporting Legions. But Ben Trading Cards on YouTube, he came out and talked to us for an hour and a half at our booth at Belleville. And he came out to the Kingston Sea Series and did a great event coverage. You should check it out on his YouTube channel. He did excellent event coverage for the Kingston Sea Series as well. And that's what I mean. Like, it's just, there's worlds colliding all the time. And the game is just a vehicle for that. It's a vehicle to bring people together, from all walks of life. And whether it's to sit down and play some cards, or have some laughs, or sling some cards and trade like the stock market, like Julian was talking about, or if it's just after some games, you go down to the local pub and drink some beers, right? But it's ultimately, it's building these friendships and these things, these moments that I said, well, that are gonna last a lifetime. And ultimately, that's what we're here for. That's what we play games for. That's why we have a game. That's why we created this. And it's more about the experience than anything. And I think that's what's really cool about this. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure Julian can add to that, but especially with his interaction with people who are just willingly able to volunteer and help out with the toolbox, right?
Yeah. Like, not only I can, like, add to that, I can double down on that. Uh, this game has brought me closer to people that I already had things in common with, and it has even, like, it's gotten me close to people that I wouldn't have known otherwise, and it has created a local and an extended family of people. And we all have a lot of things in common, and we all just happen to love this game once we get to know it. And I mean, that's already a contribution in itself. Like, it's more than most people do in their lifetime, right? Get people together. Um, it's a beautiful thing that we can all rally behind this game, and we all have, like, we all have the best wishes for it, and we all want to see it, like, flourish and expand and grow. And it's so beautiful to be at this level of this kind of thing, where, like, it's so rare nowadays with, like, all the fragmentation and all the politics and all the differences. It's so hard to find a group of people who all want the same thing for a good cause. And this is exactly that, and it's given us that in a time where that is very, very rare. So I mean, I think the extent of the effects of this game go way further than you could have ever imagined. And I mean, we can't wait for what's coming next.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. And that's the thing, man. Like, we're not slowing down. It's we're taking our big jump into year 3 now. A lot of games don't make it out of year 2, and here we are going into year 3. We got some really cool stuff planned. There's a lot of moving pieces going on. I know at the Siege series in Woodstock, I'm sure you noticed that we We added to the prize table some goodies in terms of some Legions deck boxes and Legions binders, and it is a big focus of ours to extend on those characters and extend on the game more in terms of branding and really focusing in on our icon Decimea and what Elra means to people. And so it's we're pushing a big brand concept, and I'm trying to push in more into the IP of everything, and really latch onto these characters and see if they can be a driving force to help grow on a boots on the ground, grassroots way. And when you talk about world building, and when you talk about things like a universe and these characters, you know, um, I don't think I could have conceptualized it in the beginning at what kind of an undertaking it was going to be. It just came naturally to me, and I just kept going. Um, and never in a million years do I look at putting myself in a category with the all-time greats that created these worlds and these universes. But the more I build, and the more characters I create, and the more things I bring to life, and the more stories I tell, um, it it's crazy how much you start seeing these similarities, and you start without intent putting yourself into a category uh, that, mind you, on the fringes of, but there's only a handful of individuals that have been able to encapsulate an audience and really invoke something so powerful and build a universe within the mind. And when you look at this short list of people like George Lucas and J.K. Rowling, um, and Martin, and Tolkien, James Cameron, these people that have designed and built worlds in their head. I think they're outstanding individuals that just had a dream, right? And I'm nowhere close to these outstanding, amazing people. But it's cool. It's amazing to see that without even trying, um, I started to take a first couple steps down that path. And there's people out there that only dream about trying to live their dream, right? And I'm trying to do my best to make that a reality. And I don't take it for granted. I work my butt off every day, to make sure that I can bring the best I can to the company, and therefore the company brings the best it can to the player base and to the community at large. Um,
Well, I, for one, am glad that we get to live your dream with you. Um, because it's a wonderful dream, and we're all big fans of it. So we want to see this blow up. We want other people to experience the same thing. Um, and I know it's a long road ahead, but it starts with a dream, right? And very, very few people are so passionate about their product, about their creation. Um, and it goes a long way because a lot of people give up along the way, and people who believe as strongly as you do in your dream don't. And that's why I'm so invested in this and so much looking forward to what's coming, because I know that you're not going to give up. Um, and you have plans for this, and you've had them for years and years. So it's so exciting. It's like nothing else.
well, speaking of what's to come, because I appreciate all your words there, Julian, and speaking of what's to come, we did release something small in time for our holiday season, and it would be it would be shameful or shameless of me, either way, to not plug it right now. And that is our Wintertide Wonders.
Oh, I got one. So
I yeah,
like, yeah.
I believe you did get one, right, when we were at Nerds.
Oh, I did, and I was very happy with it. So go ahead and plug it.
Yeah, yeah. So we felt as though in time for the holiday season, we never really did anything for Christmas the year prior, mainly because at that time we were still trying to get the game off the ground, and we did our holiday 4K at that time, and but we felt as though this time around, as we were doing the Siege series and stuff, that we were gonna inject some fun into it, and we made um, a small little supplemental holiday product that I have to say, if anyone's listening to this, it has been a renowned success. I didn't know how the community was going to perceive it, but everyone has loved it. Almost every member of the community has at least gotten one of them, if not multiple. Um, Everyone loves the opening experience. It is very different than our previous anything like a booster pack that we've done in the past. Um, it gives you 12 cards that are all foil. 11 of them are from a pool of 17 extended art foil Ravaged Lands cards that have never been foiled before, and they're cards that are hard to find now. So giving them a foil treatment, a lot of those cards look absolutely beautiful in foil. Naboosh is definitely one of them. And then it also give you access to one of 5 Exalteds. You're guaranteed an Exalted in every one of these Wintertide boxes. It could either be the Extended Art Void Hollow or the Extended Art Twilight Gardens, but then it also features three Extended Art Exalteds from upcoming products. So when we have like a promo from Opus the Magi and Archon, the Avenger of Light and Angel Exalted, we have a Invitation to the Masquerade, which is a Masquerade the Macabre promo. It's an extended art Exalted Undead uh, card, and then we also have a extended art Exalted promo version of Beckon the Mistral Winds, which is a dwarf exalted from our upcoming set, Cold Winds of Change. I know a lot of people don't know what that set was or what CWC meant until we just I think it was actually leaked on the Elra snapshot for the first time. So there's it just as teasers to the people that are really interested in what's coming up, while at the same time giving the players some much needed cards, some beautiful foils, and all on the same token, offering the ability to get some exalteds that are for upcoming future products. So
Yeah,
I think that
I am
overall is a nice touch.
a happy buyer of that pack, and yeah, the art is amazing. The value was awesome. Uh, so yeah, no complaints there. Absolutely, I'm glad you released that. That like honestly beautiful artwork in there. Um, Speaking of teasers and spoilers, I did mention that we were going to spoil some functionality for the toolbox, and if you're okay with it, I'm gonna drop a little spoiler bomb.
Oh, right here, yeah, man, you're the best at segues. That was so smooth. It's like it's almost like we scripted it, but these aren't scripts. These are off the top, off the cuff, and right there, Julian, go for it.
That
The floor is
we
yours, man.
spent hours writing this script, guys.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, it's not like I just found out today that I was gonna be on the show.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. Not at all. We played it all
so
along.
not at all, never. So the basically the community on Discord is amazing. It's extremely active. Uh, Everything happens on there, and everybody should be on it. However, like the very nature of Discord makes it not very persistent in the way that if you want to find something that was posted a while ago or something that somebody said a while ago, it's hard to find. So we are going to implement a forum on the toolbox where we're going to have different categories like classifieds for buy and sell, or like different channels for different legions, and it's all going to be searchable. It's going to be like long-term persistent, so people can like engage in like longer term conversations or threads about certain things. So yeah, that's coming up in a couple of weeks. We are going to be releasing our forum, and you will be able to go like whenever you're typing on a post, you're gonna be able to go like hashtag card code, and it will just insert the card that you're talking about.
Whoa.
That's outstanding. That's
Coming up.
that's man, that was a teaser bomb and a half. I hope everyone kept around for that one. Matt, what do you think of that, man?
Insane. I'm really excited to see that, get to be able to use it. Like, I love all the improvements, and I don't want to say improvements because that makes it sound like the toolbox is bad, because it's not. It's fantastic, but I love all the updates. Updates is the word we'll use.
I live for the updates. You know, every boring Monday kind of like starts with a toolbox update, and I love that. I love how we've come to that.
Hey, it's the
You know,
best
and
part
it's
of my
people that
Mondays.
it's updates that people don't necessarily expect. Like sometimes it'll be a big update, sometimes it'll be a small update. I like to keep the community on their toes, you know?
Exactly. Something I would like to just quickly go back to is the Wintertide promos. I think they're not the promos, the like the mini Wintertide set. I think it's so much value, honestly. Like it's so great. All of the promos are beautiful, right? You're pulling like probably $10 to $20 rares. We'll call it. I think it's probably like what, $7 to $20 rares. Like, is the price pool of the normal ones that are
Yeah.
not foil. Um,
And it depends on when you search, but like
exactly right.
the the artwork is absolutely beautiful.
No, it is, and it's a guaranteed exalted, right? It's a great way to get a Twilight and a Void if you don't have it. It's a great way to get ahead on some of the promos. Personally, I got a Invitation to the Masquerade, and I am very happy with that. I also got a Twilight, so I'm very happy with both of those. And it's great, you know, who doesn't love a little bit more bling to their deck? And also, it's like, who doesn't? And it's, as a player who's been playing since, I I think it's fair to say I've been playing since the beginning. I don't know if you agree with that, Taylor. We're pretty close to the beginning.
Pretty close, yeah.
Pretty close to the beginning. As someone who's had access to all of the Ravage Lands cards,
Yeah.
it's I think it's really great because it's a resurgence of them, right?
Well, I was super lucky, and here's another advantage to like attending uh, tournaments and events, which is like open to everyone. And like, if you are listening to this and you have not attended, please attend the next one, because like for me, it was like amazing. The one we had in Kingston, we all got like all attendees got a card that was a random like surprise card, and we all got to open it at the same time and see what it was. And half of us got gardens, and the other half got void hollows, um, which was amazing. I mean, these are extremely rare cards, and we could use them the same day on like for the event. Like we got the chance to change our decks if we wanted to. Um, I was lucky enough that I already had a Void Hollow, and I got a Garden, which I didn't have. So like, I mean, come on, like it's free to attend. It's like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and we ultimately the decision we did is, you know, when we I always built in surprises and build in things into our sets and into our print runs. And nobody knew we printed the Void Hollow and Twilight Gardens limited, I might add, but printed them in second edition. And because they didn't get a second edition print in Empires like the other 8 Exalteds from Ravaged Lands did. So I figured this was a great way. We'll sneak them into the print run. We'll print them, we'll keep them, and we'll figure out what was the best way to offer them to the community, given the fact that they're so sought after and now they've become staples in the competitive metagame. And like Julian said, they're very rare cards, and as a result, they've ended up racking up a pretty decent value point in the secondary market between stores and players. And we want to, like Julian mentioned earlier in the podcast, lower that barrier of entry for players. And how do you do that without diminishing the collectability aspect of the game? And that's why we printed them in their second edition with the silver crest on them, to make them with an actual visible difference on them. But we felt the best way to do that was we had our first time ever having a Siege series in Kingston, as well as the first time having the community united in one place, and then not to mention adding the 3 additional players that drove all the way up from the United States. I felt as though that was the best opportunity to hand out these cards as a thank you to the community for traveling that far and putting in the work and playing the game and loving what we created. So it was an ode to the community. And ultimately we did them randomized for that exact reason, because a lot of people forget that the T in TCG stands for trading. So that there's some people who had them, some people who didn't prior to that, and it allowed them to, like in Julian's case, get the other one you're missing, or if you had one that you got already, and then you could use it as trades for the other ones, right? So it was another way of bringing people together other than physically bringing people together,
No, exactly. It's like, even though I wasn't able to be at Kingston, I'm still like, I'm very happy with the way that you guys do all these like little surprises and things. Like, personally, I think to everyone that hasn't gotten a Wintertide like promo pack, or you're on the fence about it, go and get one. It's very worth it. Like, you will not regret it. You get like all of them come in. Can I say what they come in?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. They all come in top loaders, so that's right. If you're looking for some top loaders, that's a great way to get some, and to get some cards. First off, the top loaders are clean as ever. They look super nice. Personally, I use them for, at least for my cards that aren't double sided. I use the main top loaders, like for my left side of the board. I'll use them for like my Synergy and my Guardian. My Realm I will also use, but I will not use it for, I will use a clear one, and then for my Warlord, depend on if I have a double-sided version, I will use either a clear or a Wintertide backing.
Yeah, and so like what Matt's referring to there is our Wintertide Wonders product, to make sure the cards stay in their place and everything was protected. They came in top loaders that have a special Wintertide Wonders actual backing on them that is digitally printed onto them. So it was our way of adding a little something different to a product. And like Matt said, they're still available. We have them available until December 31st. So you still have just under 30 days to pick one up if you want. They also come with a coupon inside, a coupon code for 10% off, and that's valid until January 31st, so a month after Christmas, and that is valid, and that gives you 10% off everything on the website. That includes even boxes of Ravaged Lands that you still have a few hanging around. So if that was the case, or T-shirts, or if you wanted one of those big wall scroll banners or anything like that. That coupon code is valid for anything on the website as well, right? So we wanted to, like I said, we wanted to add a little bit of holiday cheer. They're in a small enough box that they conveniently fit in your stocking as stocking stuffers. That's something we really wanted to have too. It's just something fun, and like I said, it's been an overwhelming success from the community. Everyone really likes it and really enjoys that opening experience. So it for sure solidified our decision to bring them back again next holiday season. So next Christmas we'll be bringing back the Wintertide Wonders with obviously all new cards, and then of course we'll have guaranteed exalted in each one with an exalted nod or wink to future products as well. So not to mention the other extended art foils that'll come in it. We'll get even some newer pieces in there too, and some newer cards as well. So it's definitely was an overwhelming success in that regard. So like Matt said, if you haven't picked one up yet, I suggest picking them up. They're $44.24 Canadian. So it comes out to, with tax, $50 even. It's $50 Canadian. And that guarantees you an exalted, as well as some beautiful extended art. Otherwise, unable to get cards from Ravaged Lands because they never came in foil. So, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff we want to continue to offer the community, and giving people some really cool things and these surprises, like like Julian mentioned with the Void Hollow Twilight Gardens in second edition, at the Siege series, and then wait till we have Rally the Realms next year, which is going to be our big regional event that everyone's collecting invites for. We have a lot of stuff in store for how we're going to make that whole weekend event. We're going to make that special. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of Comic-Cons to do, and a lot of Comic-Cons coming up, as well as we got some sets in the works. We're talking to our printing manufacturers, so there's a lot of things upcoming for Legions going into year 3, and we could not be more excited with that.
No, and just something I want to add. The last piece about it is each like little top loader feels like you are like opening a present in a way, right? Because you have to like take the card out of the top loader. I don't know. It's really fun. It's worth it.
Well, and that's why we chose 12, like the 12 Days of Christmas.
Yeah,
I didn't even think
if you
about
know
that.
12 people that play Legions, you got presents for all of them.
Exactly.
I know that some of our community members are actually doing that exact thing, that are buying presents for other people, and it just so happens to be the Wintertide Wonders, because they're small and they're already conveniently wrapped in a little red box that you can just tuck into your tree or into a stocking or under the tree or wherever it is that you keep presents.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and in a week, give or take, you're going to be able to post your wants and haves on the forum at legionstoolbox.com.
That's awesome.
That's super cool.
See, there's continual improvement, continual advancement, on the company side, on the community side, on the player side, on the competitive level, on the casual play. We got a lot coming up for casual plays for all those people out there that maybe competitive is not your scene. We're talking on this podcast a lot about the competitive season that we've been doing, but we have a lot coming up for casual play as well. There's of course the Legions League Discord server. So you go into our main Discord server, our community one, which is, you're just popping nowadays. You have 336 members, and and it's doing really well. It's very healthy. There's a lot of activity, but we consistently have games going on and people looking for games. So I will plug that too. It's free to sign up. It's free to join our Discord server, free to sign up for the Legions League. You participate in the league. Even if you lose a game, you still get a point. Every point counts, because at the end of the season, the top 12 players with the most points are shipped and awarded and shipped out campaign prize promo cards free of charge right to their door. And it's
I
just
can testify that last season I didn't win a single game and I still got prizes. So everybody should sign up.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just it's a no-brainer. If
that's
you like this game, you should sign up and play some games online. It's way better than not doing it. Trust me.
honestly, Julian, that in its story in itself, Ryan has been coming with me to all these Comic Cons, and the amount of times I've heard him just tell this story about, he says, I played in the online league, and I won like 2 games, and and he says, and there was one guy in our league that lost every single game, and he played 13 games, and he got 13 points, and he still beat me.
That's me.
So yeah, he uses that all the time. It's definitely great. It helps bring smiles to people's faces, and gets them more engaged at our booth and everything. So, you know, um,
Hey, you get to be a legend one way or another.
yeah. Hey, I think you're a legend through the toolbox alone, and like you said, with that, for those of you stuck around this long into the podcast, welcome back, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for listening all these times, and for those of you who rewatch the episodes and listen to them, um, it it means a lot. And ultimately, like I said, whether it's the limited people that play in different LGSs, or whether it's the people that consume it online, or whether they just play at their kitchen table, the most important part about growing anything and growing a game at its grassroots, especially something that's not super mainstream, the most important part is you listening. Because the fact that you're listening to this, and the fact that you're considering the game or already on board with the game, you are already a part of something, and you're helping us achieve a dream, and you're helping us grow together. You listening are the people that are going to continue to make this a reality and continue to push us to the next level. So share this with your friends, share this with your family, even if it's something they don't like, or if it's they don't know, maybe they're not a gamer, but it doesn't matter, because ultimately it's called the Legion's Lounge, guys. It's about as casual as it gets. We're just some guys that just enjoy talking about cards, talking about dreams, talking about aspirations, and how to connect with people, right?
Exactly.
So,
Like we just like this as casual as it gets, right? We just sit here and talk. That's all it is.
and if you're just watching it for entertainment, right? We release these on Monday morning, so if you're just watching it for entertainment, if it's in your car ride to work, or your drive back from work, or on your lunch break. Maybe it's a little long for a lunch break, but you know what I mean? It's the fact that it's it's some entertainment. A lot of times we get laughing and carrying away. This one was more of an update for everybody since we've been away for so long, but we're starting to return back to our regular schedule programming. So we really look forward to that, and we really look forward to everything that Julian continues to offer us on the Legion's Toolbox. And we will make sure that we get Thomas on here, the creator of the Elra Snapshot website, for all of those competitive-minded players out there who want to know the meta breakdown, the tier lists, the deck lists, when you can find the next event, and then of course campaign promos, discussions about cards, discussions about sideboards, and deck primers from the community. That's all going to be found on the Elra Snapshot website, and we're going to talk more about that when Thomas is on the podcast. And of course, make sure you visit the Legion's Toolbox, Julian. Right? It's
Yeah.
it's gonna make
By the way,
it's free to
this
sign up.
might be a good time to mention that we are like definitely open to collaborating with other websites that promote and feature LRAW content. So we are going to work uh, towards the fact that you will be able to post decks and cards and stuff on other websites and just reference them from the toolbox, and they will be made available to other websites.
That's phenomenal. See, another tidbit of information if you stuck around this long. You know,
Well, it's you get me here, and I can't help by spilling the beans. Um, yeah, all these things are in the pipeline, and the forum is gonna come first because I think that's gonna be a great benefit to the community. The fact that it has like greater persistence, and you can search for things that were posted maybe a while ago, which is complicated on Discord because it's just so real time. um and that kind of stuff, I think is going to help like cement the community. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then after that, um basically, I want to see other websites come up. I want to see like it has happened already. But I want to see the community grow like that. I want to see more web-oriented people coming into the community. I uh, I want to see more diversity in the types of websites that the community can generate. I'm very much looking forward to that.
No, exactly. And I think with there, if you guys are cool with it, I think that's a pretty natural spot to call it here. Just a good hour and a half episode to get us everyone to get everyone back into the feel of things.
Yeah, I think we did a great job getting everybody up to speed. We could not have done it without Julian, that's for sure. Just that home and away mentality, that that in person personal experience, and then of course everything that you offer the game through the toolbox. We would not have reached this part without you, and I want you to be abundantly clear, Julian. You've been a very key cog in our success thus far, and thank you very much for that.
It's been an honor to me, and I would do it all over again.
Well, don't say that too loud. We're gonna make you take the toolbox and take the toolbox and turn it into a transformer one day. Obviously, can't be a transformer because that's copyrighted, but something like that.
All right, I think we call it here.
Yeah, and that's
Guys, it's always a pleasure.
Hey, it's a pleasure having you. I'm happy to be back, man.
it is great to be
Absolutely.
back. It's been too long. It's been, like I said, 3 months since the last one. We won't keep you waiting this long next time around. As we get back in the swing of things, and the winter makes it a little easier for us to do stuff, we're not traveling around near as often. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I was part of the big comeback. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's always fun to talk to you guys.
It's always great to talk to you, man. It's
yeah,
always great to have you guys listening as well. We appreciate it very
it's
much. This show means nothing without you guys here.
yes, it is always great to have you both, either
So
whether you're a
grateful.
guest on the podcast or if you're listening at home or on your way to work or anything like that. We appreciate it more than you know, and we want to make sure that share this. Go to the Legions Realms at War .ca website. You can even type in .com. It transfers you right to the website. Right on the homepage, you'll find the link to the Discord community. You'll find the right under that. You'll find the link right on the homepage to the Legions Toolbox, courtesy of Julian, where you can see our entire card catalog, be able to build decks, jump right into the meat and potatoes of the game, and you don't even have to commit anything financially. You can get right into it right at the very beginning, and be able to build decks, draw a test hand, interact with the community, and if you do have cards, you'll be able to play online for free. Everything is to be as user friendly as possible and easier every day for to lower that barrier of entry and make that front door to the game as wide as possible, where we're going to be waiting inside with open arms, guys. So thank you, Julian. Thank you, Matt, for hosting as always. It's been a great pleasure to be part of it, and welcome back to the Legions Lounge, guys.
Welcome back, and with that, we'll see you next time in the lounge. Good night, everyone.
Right.
Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.